Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of History is Story Time. Now, today I'm going to be telling you the story of one of Africa's most iconic ports, that is Mombasa, from its change from a mere village to a modern city. So, how did it begin, and what was the process through all this? We'll explore those facts in this video. So, welcome. Now, the earliest inhabitants of the area of Mombasa today were the Bantu speaking tribes, and one of them were the Mijikenda. Now, these Mijikenda lived in villages that were fortified, and they were called Kayas, and Mombasa was one of them. It was ruled by some of the earliest rulers were like Mwana Mkisi and Shehe Mfita. Now, these villages thrived and survived through trade of fish, timber, and natural resources that were locally available. So, if you were walking in a town, you'd probably see a man carrying fish or a man going to sell timber. Not much was really going on. However, this changed around the 8th and 9th century. Now, this was the time when Islam was spreading. So, people were coming from the Middle East, from modern day countries like Iran and Iraq, and they were exploring the world. And some of these people, known as the Shirazi, came and settled on the East African coast. Now, these people came and started trading, and this led to the growth of the Kayas into towns. Now, they also came at an important moment in history, as this Shirazi found that these villages, for example Mombasa, was situated strategically on the coast. This meant that traders had to go through Mombasa in order to trade with other tribes that were inland. Also, the monsoon winds from India brought traders to the East African coast, and they traded a lot of goods with the Swahili people. Also, the natural harbor that was in Mombasa helped it grow, as it was able to accommodate more and more ships. So, because of these factors, the Shirazi, the monsoon winds, Mombasa began to grow, and it grew really fast. In fact, by the 12th century, Mombasa was no longer a kaya, it was no longer a fortified village. No, it was a town or a city. Now, the religion or that Mombasa had was mainly Islam, which was brought about by the Shirazi. However, due to trade with other diverse cultures, I could expect that there were at least some Indians with some Hindu religion and such, and probably even some Christians. Mosques became very important in the society, and architecture of the Swahili also grew around and developed around this time with wooden doors, coral stone buildings, and shaded courtyards. So around the 12th century, Mombasa was growing really fast. However, Mombasa's strategic location also made it a battleground, as different villages or different people also wanted to control this wealthy trade route. It was often referred to as Kisiwa cha Mvita. Yeah, this is where people really fought. But by the late 14th century, Mombasa was a dominant force on the Swahili coast. So this didn't really affect its trade with the rest of the world. Up to today, Mombasa is one of the earliest ports in African history and still plays a major role in the economy of Kenya. Well, guys, I hope you learned something about the development of Mombasa from a kaya, a fortified village, to a modern day city. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to see you next time. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, as it helps grow our community. Well, guys, it's been good having you on this channel, and I'll see you next time. Remember, it's just not history, it's our story. Bye!